Hi everyone, my name is Jody Burgin. Welcome back for another Daily Dose of Hope. Viktor Frankl was an Australian neurologist and psychiatrist. Mr. Frankl was also a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps. His mother, his brother, and his wife were all killed in the camps. On a recent trip to Germany, I just had to see for myself how human beings could design places of torture and death for other human beings. So I scheduled a tour of a concentration camp. Walking through those famously mocking iron gates that had the German phrase that meant work brings freedom, I just felt sick as I discovered all the graphic details. There were so many somber images that included the barracks, the prison cells, the gas chambers. They all combined to tell this harrowing story of overwhelming severity of the torture and humility that these prisoners experienced. Although the average lifespan was only about 2 weeks for someone living in these concentration camps, Frankl survived slave labor and he found meaning in his suffering. His camp was eventually liberated by the American soldiers on April the 27th of 1945. From that point forward, Frankl devoted his life to studying, understanding, and promoting meaning. According to Frankl, the way a prisoner envisioned his future affected his longevity. His theory, called logotherapy, is founded on that belief that the greatest need for any human being is to find meaning in life. That becomes the primary motivating factor, the driving force in someone's life. In contrast, Americans typically are driven by a desire to be happy. Frankl's prescription for experiencing meaning is a simple 3-step process. His first step is simply this: is to have a project that you're working on. Now, it should be a project that requires your unique skills and abilities. Preferably, it's a project that helps other people. For example, during this pandemic, intentionally ask yourself, what can I learn? What can I do that will help? Asking myself that question resulted in this simple video log that you're listening to today to provide some spiritual support for you. The second step in his process is, when something painful happens, find a redemptive perspective. How can I, even in the midst of my fear, find a redemptive perspective on this coronavirus? This is something that's terrible that's happened, but also on the other side of this terrible will be something that is positive that will happen. You can flip the script by just identifying what could be the worst season of your life as the best season of your life, because it became a springboard for your future. Suffering is unavoidable for all of us. However, you can define something that will come from your pain. His third step is to share the experiences within the context of safe, loving relationships. We come together as equals, with everyone bringing something unique and vital to the table. We join forces, learning from each other, and both of us benefit from the relationship. In other words, you bring the brains, I'll bring the ice cream, and everybody wins. Whether we make soup for somebody, or we talk to a discouraged single adult living alone, or we do some tutoring, we do it with others. As always, please follow CDC guidelines for physical distancing. We can still build community bonds and spend time with other people while observing physical distancing. So work on a project together and work on relationships while doing it. These are extraordinary times. I'm sure you'd agree. We'll remember this for the rest of our lives. I believe what Frankl learned in the crucible of concentration camps can help us. We were meant to choose a worthy pursuit, have a project. Second, we were meant to look reflectively at some of the challenges and the pain we faced and find a redemptive perspective on that suffering. And third, pay more attention to relationships. When we find a deep redemptive perspective on our suffering, it ceases to be suffering. When we submit to God's purposes, any suffering can be redeemed. When I am in pain, this spiritual principle is very difficult for me to hear, just to be gut level honest with you. And we know, we've learned, we've experienced that God causes everything, all things, even the COVID-19 coronavirus. He causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and those who are called according to his purposes for them. So take a deep breath. Here we go. God can take the pain that we cause ourselves, the pain that other people invoke on us. He can take the pain from the natural realm. He can take the pain from the evil one himself. God can take all the pain from wherever it comes from, and over time, he can orchestrate and weave it together into a fabric for our good. Later on, down the pike, we will turn back and look at this season and say, God took even that, and now I can see how he wove something good in me that also gave him glory.